I don't think I'm supposed to be up here, okay. Sonic Adventure is a great example of a game that I feel gets way too much undeserved hate in this day and age. While I will agree that the Big the Cat and Amy levels aren't nearly as fun as the Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Gamma levels, I do think Sonic Adventure overall is a fairly fun experience that holds up remarkably well in this day and age. Yet for some reason, you constantly see footage of Sonic Adventure DX edited alongside footage of Sonic 06, narrated by some stuffy teenager who likely wasn't alive for the original game's release.
Sonic had a rocky transition into 3D.
And the worst part is, I can't really blame anyone for thinking Sonic Adventure DX is a bad game, because, quite honestly, it kind of is. Yeah, Sonic Adventure DX sucks. The original Sonic Adventure was fantastic. They messed up a lot in transitioning this game into the GameCube, and the GameCube version was used as a basis when porting to the 7th generation consoles, which is the version that people most likely are sharing footage of today. I can't blame people for being annoyed at this version of the game because it doesn't function properly. There's tons of collision issues, glitches, texture issues. This sloppy port is nobody's fault but Sega's, and it sucks that so many people are forming negative opinions around the adventure games because they've played nothing but the newer versions of it, when the Dreamcast originals are so superior to what we have nowadays. So much so that fans are going back to the adventure games and modding them to restore or cut Dreamcast content and visuals. The Dreamcast Conversion Mod is a must-have for Sonic Adventure DX, and it fixes a ton of the collision and graphical issues that the DX versions introduced. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle also introduced issues that the Dreamcast version didn't have and was also the basis for a really bad port on Steam, but that's a topic for a different day. The point I'm trying to make is that the original Sonic Adventure is still a pretty great game, and still controls fairly well by today's standards. There aren't any modern recreations of the game, which is unfortunate. However, thanks to some very clever modders, we now have a glimpse as to what a modern recreation would look like. This is Sonic Adventure RTX. This adds real-time ray tracing to Sonic Adventure DX on Steam. Now this is what I'm talking about. If you want to remaster a classic game but you don't want to muddy up the visuals, this is a really good way of doing it. Adding real-time reflections and shadows to an older game does leagues to modernize it without touching the source code, meaning that the game still plays originally perfectly fine, yet still looks pretty close to modern in terms of graphical standards. Sure, the textures are still low resolution, they're based off of the Dreamcast originals after all, but the models clean up exceptionally well with this new lighting system, and it makes them look significantly higher poly than they actually are. So when we do get support for some upgraded textures, I think this is going to look stunning. Now this was all achieved thanks to NVIDIA's RTX Remix, which if you're unfamiliar with this, it's basically an open source set of tools which allows you to add ray tracing to pretty much any DirectX series of games that you can think of. Now it's not as easy as just clicking a button and having it work its magic. You do have to edit a ton of things, and the creator of this mod has put in a shitload of work, and it definitely does show. But the fact that the game controls exactly as it did back in 1998 on the Dreamcast and looks this fantastic is exactly the point of RTX Remix. It doesn't touch the source code in any way, and instead just adds a nice layer of polish on top of it to modernize the game's visuals while not taking away from the core experience. This is what should have been done with the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Trilogy and Sonic Colors Ultimate. Now this mod is a heavy work in progress, and there's still a lot that needs to be refined. Shadows are a little too dark, cutscenes are a little too broken, but all things considered, for a work in progress mod, this looks fantastic so far, and the fact that it's such an early version leaves me with a lot of hope that it'll look even better in the future. I hope the modder does Sonic Adventure 2 after this, because I think that game could clean up and look even better. But as for right now, Sonic Adventure DX looks better than it ever has, and thanks to mods like the Dreamcast Conversion Mod, plays better than it ever has. If you've got the hardware to run this, and you do need a bit of a beefy computer with a ray tracing capable graphics card, give it a shot. I'll leave a Game Banana link in the description. But until next time guys, this has been DanRock. I hope you guys have a good night, peace out, and take care.